Good morning, guys. It is Saturday morning and we are having kind of a chill day. We've done quite a few different days of cleaning up the house and we just need a down day, as well as I have a lot of sewing projects that need to happen. So this video will probably take place over a few different days. Today I am working on sewing some cloth pads. And so I'm going to share with you how I do that. I am definitely not a professional seamstress, guys. Okay, so if you are looking for like a how-to tutorial of something to look perfect, you are not going to find it here. I'm just sharing what I am doing for my family that blesses my family and that my children love, because they just know that like I put my heart into what I've just done here. So I'm going to share with you, I had started some of these earlier in the year, and so now I really need to get those done. They are working on bananas over there. We were blessed, somebody gave us 3 cases of bananas, so we've been rotating them through the dehydrator. So let me share with you what I'm doing. Hello, so let's see my messy covering? Yes, lovely. Anyway, it is well loved and stained. So we have here, this is the front and the back. So basically I use any fabric for the back of the pad, and then I use a minky fabric for the top. You can also use flannel. I've used both. I think both are fine. And then what I have is I use old towels. So I do 2 layers of old towels. And then I used some PLU or PUL. I forget what it is. It is actually for like diapers, like diaper covers. That is the material that I am using here. So I find this scenario is the best for me. So I just basically sew 2 layers of the towel and that together like this, so then I have 2 pieces, and then this was the right sides together, sewed around, and then I'm going to shove this in there. But before then I kind of sew it out. These are the ones that I had already done, so that's how it was. So I am just ironing it out, and then I take my thing and line it up, and then I just cut off any excess that I might have there. So basically over here my daughter is starting from scratch and she is just cutting. This is just a regular fabric, so she traced this size pad is what she's working on right now. So she traced this size pad onto here with a dry erase marker, and she's just cutting. She's doing it in 5s, right? You're doing 5?
I think I did 5 or 6.
So you just pick a number and decide. It looks like 5. How many she's going to do? She's going to do it in 5. So she has those that she's going to cut out, and then she's going to cut out her minky. Okay, so all I'm doing here is I just kind of shoved this, folded it a little bit, and shoved it in like this till I get all the way up to the top. And then I'm going to pinch the top. I kind of, I have 1 finger over here, 1 finger over here. I kind of spread out, and then I'm going to pinch the top and then pull it down. So I want my PUL fabric on closest to this side, and then my absorbent fabric, which is the old towel, onto the top portion here. So I don't know if you can see in there. And then that's on the bottom. So basically, if you have moisture going through, it's going to go through on the top, and then the 2 towels absorb the fabric, and then the bottom fabric is going to prevent it from getting any further down, and then this just is the pretty part on the outside. You could, if you wanted to, just use the PLU fabric on the outside, but it's really slippery and it's hard to maneuver that. I do not care that these do not look pretty. Like I said, I'm just doing it for me and my family. So I'm going to get a bunch of them like this all set up, and then I will go around and I will fold these in, and I will sew a circle around here, and then sew the wing sides like that. So I am finishing up here. I have a bunch of these put together, and I am just trimming up some larger ones. Careful. And get a little bit of coffee. Here, you can cut this. You want to cut that one? Okay. Then no thank you.
Could I help you with something?
If you'd like to cut those pieces, you can. So I want to chat just a little bit about, I think people don't understand why people use cloth pads. So years ago, I, obviously having a lot of children, I was struggling a little bit with like my cycles or like postpartum really being painful, just from like the bleeding and stuff afterwards. I was really in a lot of pain. And somebody mentioned to me, hey, you might want to try cloth pads. And I was like, well, why would that be? And they said that commercial pads are actually made to draw out of you. So it's made to draw blood and stuff out of you instead of just allowing your body to do itself. And a lot of times that drawing of the like lining of the uterus, a lot of times that actually can cause excess cramping, excess bleeding, lots of issues. So I was like, I don't know that I want to do that. I was actually cloth diapering at the time, and they said, you know, it's like cloth diapers. You don't have to soak anything. You're just going to throw them in the washing machine after. So I said, all right, I'm going to give it a go. So I tried a couple, and then I was like, yeah, I'm never turning back here. My cramping got so much better. My bleeding got so much better. I used to get a lot of like lower back pain. I'm not saying that you're never going to get lower back pain. I used to get a lot of lower back pain during those times as well, and it was all gone. And I was like, and they were so comfortable. I used to get, some people get this, some people don't. You get like rashes or irritation or whatever. Occasionally I would, yeah. So I was very thankful to have found cloth pads. So this may not be for you, and that's okay. You do not have to follow everything I do. Some people also use Diva cups. I had a surgery years ago that prevents me from doing that, but I don't think that I would. At this point in my life, it's just like, I would much rather just have things flow out nicely and not have an issue. My normal cycles are about 3, maybe 4 days long. Before they were about 7 days long. So that is the difference between both of those things. And I'm not saying every person and individual is going to be different. So it may not affect you the same way. But I used to have like debilitating cramping. I'm not saying that you're never going to have cramping. I'm just saying I used to have really bad cramping where like I'd need a heating pad and all that type of stuff. When I would have my cycles. I didn't have that many cycles, so it wasn't that big of a deal for me, because allowing God to choose our fertility and our family size, I didn't get cycles all the time because I was a lot of times either nursing or pregnant. But I noticed a huge difference postpartum. Yeah, so we're going to get continuing with these pads today. I am going to be back with you when I get the other ones and I'm ready to sew them. Okay, so this is not beautiful, but what I'm doing is I tucked in the end here and folded the 2 over. I started here and I'm working my way around here, and I'm going to do this circle part first and then I'll come back. Now I'm going around each wing like this. So over here, my daughter is sewing the 2 sides together, her front and back. So this has the minky and then her other color on the back. And daughter over here was cutting out some others, lining them up there for my other daughter. So she's doing the front and backs just like my daughter over here is doing. So she's just sewing the right sides together around the edge of that and leaving one end. So now the 2 sides are sewn, and I'm just going to do one straight down the middle. So there we go. I like to sew, not everyone likes to sew a middle one down there, but I like to sew one in the middle. It just kind of like tells the flow like, okay, you're going to go in this area. Yeah. This is what sewing looks like in our house. My daughter, she tried to plug the other one in over there and it was just shy of where it needed to be. She's working on doing some pads. The kids are playing with animals. Some other kids are going fishing, and the little kids are just having fun. Look, I took all my fabric down. So I'm dreaming about this because to me, I do not like making pads, except I like wearing pads. So it's kind of like the inevitable. Meanwhile, I'll look at this and I'll dream of what I want to come up with. So as you can see, my pads are totally imperfect, but they work. So like I said before, this is not a thing about perfection. This is still going to be just fine. Nobody's going to be checking out your pads, guys. So my daughter made these for my other daughter, my younger daughter. So she'll cut the strings and put everything else. I have this stack right here that I am going to put to the side, and then I need to put pins and stuff on that. I was eating soup and crackers. I need to put pins and stuff on that, but what I'm going to do is work on clearing off part of the table. My daughter's working on hers. I'm going to work on cleaning up this section right here and then start using that fabric. Okay, so I really do not follow patterns all that often. Or I do follow patterns. I need some sort of pattern, but a lot of times I switch it up for what I want. So what I'm thinking right now is like a tighter bodice, and then to have like, now you do a circle skirt and it's like fluffy kind of out. So I'm thinking like a tighter bodice with like a 3-layer like skirt, but up a little bit higher. So that is what I'm trying to create. So I am looking for, through my patterns, to try to find just a basic bodice for the girl that I want to do right now. Okay, so I have this right here. This is actually a smaller size than she needs. This is like a size 5. And this is in the Holly Hobbit pattern. Let me see, this right here. But what I want to do is I think that I can just kind of eyeball it, and then I'll come out about 1 inch all the way around there to make a bigger pattern here for her. But then it will still be probably like to here, which is, you can kind of see there. So if it's there, and then I'll do kind of like a circle skirt from there down. I think that should work. I think that should work. So what I'm going to do is I'll take and do the bodice and such, and then I'm going to measure her waist, and then I'll tell you the measure. So she is measuring that, and then she's going to put it down on the paper. And my first one that I do is... Suck in. You don't want it to be tight if you suck your tummy in. Okay, so her waist is 23. I'm just going to round it up to 24 just to make my numbers even. It's not going to really make a difference. It's just going to make it a little bit looser by like this much. And this type of skirt is meant to like give extra fabric, extra material. So what I'm going to do is, hers was 23. I'll go that up to 24. And then I will kind of do that times 1.5. So that would be half of the 24 is 12. So I'll add the 12 onto the 24, which would be 36. Does that make any sense? I sure hope it does. So her first layer is going to be 36 wide. So then we measured from that spot that we were just at all the way down to as long as we wanted it. It's going to be a little longer because it's going to be like a fall dress. So it's going to be in between like knee and ankle. And so the measurement that we have is 28. So what I want to do is I want my top two to be a little longer, and then I want my bottom one to be a little shorter. So I'm going to have my top two as 12 and 12, and then my bottom one is going to be a 4, and that's for the width going up and down. So it will be the first one that we're going to cut is going to be 36 wide, so going this way, by 12 down. So if I have 36 for the top part, then the next part down, some people just do 2. I like 2.5 times the amount, which would be 60. And then I'm going to go a little less than that for the bottom row. So probably a 72. I'm going to see what it looks like if it was a 72, and then I might increase, but I want to see what it looks like first. Okay, so I have the bodice front, I have the bodice back, and then I have the arm. I am, and remember, I'm going I'm going to be going an inch around like bigger. So I personally, what I'm going to do is take and do 2 of these and 2 of these, and then sew the right side. Well, it's actually going to be 4 of these. And I'm going to sew the fronts and the backs together, so it's almost like a double layer. And then I won't need like interfacing or anything like that. I will just have a double layer, thick, kind of like that. I am not very precise in my sewing, so all I'm doing is when I lay this down, I am eyeballing. I am not measuring around an extra inch. I'm just eyeballing what to me looks like an extra inch. And I have never had any issues like this. It's good enough for me. If I was sewing for somebody, or if I was really precise, then I might do it differently. But I am going to pin that on as well. You could do 2 different colors and have one on the inside and one on the outside. I got this at the thrift store, so I'm not too concerned. But if you did have a like more expensive fabric, then what I would do is I would have my expensive fabric. I would just use cheap fabric for any type of lining that I was doing. So this right here, this line on patterns means you want your grain of your fabric to go the same way. So the grain of the fabric is going to go this way. And so you want to make sure that no matter what way the arrows are going, that you're going to have the arrows going the same way. I'm going to put these kind of close together, and then I'm just going to pick them up and do them again. When I'm doing a pattern that's like inside my mind, I will do one child at a time, and then I'll do one child first, and then that person will try that on and make sure that the pattern itself is what I was thinking in my brain. And then after that, what I will do is I will like cut all of the rest of the children's out, and then continue to do the pattern like almost in like succession. And usually a couple of us will work together, and one person will sew this part, or one person will cut, or however it ends up working out with however many people we have. But the first one I usually like cut out all together, so that if I make a mistake, it's only in one. Around the armpit area, I do about half of what I'm actually expanding it for. So the armpit area will probably only be like a 1/4 inch difference rather than a whole inch. I mean, a 1/2 inch instead of a whole inch. So after I get these couple cut out, what I'll do is I will have her come in here before I even do the other section and make sure that these will fit her okay. So I'm just sort of laying it out and pinning the two together like this, just so I can make sure that it is going to fit her once we sew it. Okay, right here is what I'm looking at, and what I don't like is here in the armpit, what I'm going to actually cut down here a little bit more, because this looks too tight for the armpit to be comfortable. So I'm going to be cutting down. This looks good, so I'm just going to cut down there to give her more leeway in that armpit area. Can you turn around, please? But then in the back, there's plenty of space for overlapping or anything. Okay, so now we're back at the table, and I am going to just do this. I'll take this out. So that means when I go to do my sleeve, this is my sleeve here. So if the sleeve was up here, then it would come down to about here, and I would need more space on the edge there. So when I'm doing this sleeve part here, I'm going to need to make sure that I expand out the sides enough so it can overlap, and so that there would be enough to go around this bigger opening here. And you do that by expanding this over, like out this way. So we'll come out further like this to make a wider sleeve. So I eyeballed this sleeve. So in order to like have the same as the other sleeve, I want to make sure that I match this with the other side over there. So now I have all those pieces. I'm going to take the pins out, and then I am going to just be making a section in the top area. I can do that a bunch of different ways, but most likely I am just going to make like a portion of this. So in this back section here, this is going to have a sleeve on it. This is going to be attached to the other section. This is going to be attached to the front part. So this part is the part that's going to be open. This, and this are all going to be closed off. So all I need is a piece of fabric to go like in that section there. So I can do that with scraps of fabric, or I can do it like with the fabric that we have over there. So all I'm going to be doing, this is folded in half. This is the front bodice. I am just going to cut this, and down here, and then I'll sew that on so that this can fold back over. And then this section is the back, so I'll just make sure that I cut like this, and then maybe like across here. So this is the section I cut out for my top of my bodice, and then I'm just going to open this one out that I just cut, and I'm going to put this on top here and pin it. So now let's look at this top here. I do not need to sew any other pieces aside from this right here. And then these are my back pieces. They will eventually be going like this. But these I just need to sew wherever the neck piece is going to be, so right here. And then the same with this one over here, just where the neck piece is going to go. Basically, you're just trying to make the salvage edge so it's not salvage and it looks like finished off. Pin the pattern on. This is staying pretty tight to this, but then I have an excess over this side that I cut on one side, but I want it to be even. So I have my arrow here that I'm going to fold it in half, and then I will match this and then cut those the same. So I think what I decided for this daughter is the first one, so the width of this is like 44, like if I'm just to cut it straight. And so for the first portion, that's going to be 36. I think what I'm going to do is do the 36 by 12 wide, and then the next two pieces I think I'm going to cut in 2 sections and then see if I can get some pockets in there. Okay, so I sewed this and then my daughter ironed that. So what we're going to do now is just lay this flat. Sorry, I had to move over by the sewing machine, which is here, and you're also plugged in. So I'm taking this, and then I'm taking these, which see, we just sewed and ironed the tops, And I'm gonna match the tops here and then the sides down there. And so my daughter just tried on the bodice, and this is the sleeve. So basically I have a daughter who's ironing for me. So she ironed just a hem here. I'm just gonna fold this over and sew a line so that I'll be able to put like an elastic. I'm making like an elastic casing. I know a lot of you older ladies are probably gonna laugh at me. This is how I do. This is how I do sleeves. So I just have my sleeve like this, and I go around the sleeve area so that when I meet the bottom, then I can finagle it however I need to finagle it. Okay, guys, with lots of things, just like sewing, I am self-taught. And I just do what works for me. So you guys do what you do. A lot of times people will put the sleeve together and then like pop them in like right sides together. But if I'm working on a pattern that I'm not really quite sure about, this gives me a little bit of leeway to like tweak it a little bit if I need to. Okay, so this is how it is so far. This is the arm that I just put on, and I'm going to put elastic around here and it will like puff it up a little bit. So I'm just gonna measure a little loose on her wrist or where it's falling to, and then I'll have her actually feed it through there so she can learn how to do that, and then I'll finish sewing that in. Okay, so this is where it is at now, and then I'm going to work on an upper zipper in the back. Could you turn around, please? I have a 2-year-old in my lap too. So we're gonna put an upper zipper in the back there and sew it the rest of the way down, and then I'll start on my first layer of the skirt. So this is where we're at right now. So she has this here, and then I'm going to put another layer on there. So here we go. Top's all done, and the next layer, and then the bottom is 4 inches. We are just going to iron and hem the bottom. I'll probably have somebody younger do that. And turn around. And then the back.